Hello, hello, we are back into the worlds of FromSoft with another series, and this time it will be bow-only runs of a few of the games. Not all 5 applicable games, mind you, mostly because, well, few count, but to still get a good understanding of how bows compare in different Souls games, I let my patrons vote on what games to include. And a lot of them tied. But Dark Souls 3 was clearly less popular, and I decided to exclude Demon Souls, mostly because it's mechanically very similar to Dark Souls, but shorter and with less interesting bosses across the board. Also, Dark Souls 1 has more interesting arrows, which made the decision pretty easy. So here we are in Dark Souls 1. Start by making our character, generic white dude with a bow, who I will call Hawkeye, because obvious. And I will be starting as the hunter, because I need a bow, and after running through the asylum, I pick up my first weapon, the longbow, and some arrows. Into the asylum boss fight, and while it is a bit of a bummer that I can't do a plunging attack, which would be very funny with a bow, this fight isn't too interesting. The damage on my bow attacks is bad, but not run out of arrows bad, and Asylum Demon is very easy to dodge. That boss dead, I've arrived at Firelink Shrine, and I can head for my first destination, the New Londo Ruins. First, I'll pick up the free Firekeeper's Soul here, because I actually remembered it's there. Then, I'll die. Wait, no, that's not right. Next, I'll die. Nope, still wrong. Do better. Next, I'll grab the free composite bow and standard arrows from this balcony. Spoiler, this bow is going to be my primary weapon for the entire run, actually. And then I die, but intentionally this time. So, my damage against hollows is not great, not terrible, but definitely bad. And I am very low on arrows, and with the arrows I have, I need to clear a way to the first merchant I can access. Is it obvious I don't play first-person shooters? The merchant sells standard arrows, large arrows, and wooden arrows. All useful, but they have different prices and damage amounts. Running out of arrows is my main concern at this point, so I'm going to invest most of my money into wooden arrows, at least for now. Those in hand, I can pretty safely just shoot my way through the Undead Burg to the next boss, the Taurus Demon, which is a pretty simple fight. While the arena for this fight is narrow, it's also very long, and Taurus doesn't have any way to punish you for using ranged attacks, especially if you step forward a little bit and then back to bait out his more melee-focused attacks rather than his jump attacks. The fight isn't quick, because my damage is hardly exceptional, but much like the Asylum Demon, this boss really has no way to punish ranged attackers. I can then run on to the Undead Parish, snipe this dragon so it drops down to clear my path to this bonfire, and it's the first big roadblock of the run. Shields. Gonna have to mostly avoid shielded enemies, or time my attacks very carefully. Good news is that bows are otherwise very good at dealing with trash mobs, and all that running has got me to my blacksmith. So I can start upgrading my composite bow. A careful fight against Shield Boy here gets me another Firekeeper Soul, and then I can snipe the Spellcaster, so no buffs for the upstairs hollows. And why not? It probably won't go well, but surely I have time to fight the gargoyles. And my damage, thanks to upgrades, is pretty good. But trying to shoot a very slow bow once the second gargoyle comes out is pretty tricky, it turns out. And trying to run past all these hollows to retry the fight also doesn't go great. Okay, back into the fight, and I think that went worse. It definitely didn't go better. Okay, maybe time to take a break before attempting that again. And part of that is that I need some levels. I don't have as much damage or health as I'd like. Downside to bows is you have to spend all your free dollars on arrows. But a boss that might actually be easier with a bow is the butterfly. No attack downtime, since I don't have to wait for it to land. Which is kind of true, but bows are also slow enough I have to time my shots around the butterfly's attacks, which I'm just awful at dodging. And then I die. Okay, I don't think that fight is unwinnable, I just need to do better. A smarter me would have learned to aim in first person in this game, because relying on the lock-on to lead shots by itself is not a thing. But as long as I'm careful, I can dodge the attacks, get in a few arrow shots, and punish the butterfly whenever it stops flying. It's long, and time-consuming, and I have to pop a humanity to heal because I keep dodging so poorly. But eventually the stupid butterfly goes down. Stupid boss. Anyway, that gives me 10k souls and a new ember for Andre, and those souls get mostly spent on weapon upgrades, so my composite bow is now at +5. And I might as well pop the butterfly soul and invest that into vigor. Okay, I have more HP, and my damage is considerably improved. Time to retry the gargoyles. And yeah, that damage is way better. Once the second gargoyle joins the fight, it is a lot more difficult to dodge them both, but by getting them right next to each other, I can quickly run to the other end of the arena and shoot them both. That was hitless, wasn't it? Of course I managed the fight hitless, making the health I got irrelevant. Hey buddy, looks like we're gonna actually need to fight because bows don't have a kick ability. Oh, well, we can just put fight in air quotes. That does get me my FAP ring though, always a boon. I can then, where's the key to this door? Oh, it's in front of the church. I completely forgot that. Okay, got the key and I can actually head into the lower Undead Burg. Down here are dogs I can shoot, bandits I can shoot, and a boss that I'm really not looking forward to. Ugh, Capra Demon. But first I should unlock the shortcut to Fireling's Shrine. Ooh, she sells fire and poison arrows. Pretty sure poison is useless in this game, but fire might be nice. Okay, into the fight. Okay, didn't make it to the stairs. That's fine. Don't panic. I said don't panic. Okay, that is both dogs dead, which means the fight is basically over. Capra is pretty easy by itself, even when you can't just snipe it from this overhang. Alright, first try Capra Demon is always nice. That fight often sucks. With Capra Demon dead, I have the key to the depths, so hello, Butcher. Gonna need you to die, because I need the large ember you have hiding in this chest. And I actually think that's everything I came down here for. I don't have any large Titanite yet, but the large ember will mean once I get some, I can get this bow upgraded. I know my next destination, but I think it's time for a detour. I want to head back to the Undead Asylum. One, I want to see how my damage against the stray demon is. Okay, bad. Yeah, that's just awful. Not doing this. And spoilers, I don't think I ever actually come back here. Oh well. The other thing I want here is the rusted iron ring so I can run through water better. Okay, time for a poison swamp, which is to say, taking the back route into Blighttown thanks to the master key. Then down into the swamp. My goals here are twofold. First on my list is to kill so many slugs. Each one has a chance to drop some large Titanite or green Titanite, both of which I want. This takes a decent chunk of time, though honestly still less than I expected. Yay, Titanite! I'll use this to upgrade my bow a bit later, but since I'm already down here, I may as well see how my current setup fares against Quelaag. She is guarding my second Bell of Awakening after all. And yeah, my damage is pretty bad. On the other hand, I have over 1,000 arrows all said and done, and Quelaag has a weakness that is relatively easy to exploit with bows. If you hit her in her human torso, she will stagger. If you're good enough at the fight, you can get her perpetually stun-locked. I am not that good, but I am good enough to get a couple decent stagger chains. And like many of the Dark Souls 1 bosses, Quelaag isn't very good at dealing with ranged attacks. So it's not a quick fight, and it's not a fair fight, but it is a fight I win. Since I'm already here, I might as well deal with Ceaseless as well. One advantage bows have is they scale really badly, so I've actually been investing a lot more points in HP than I normally would. So, even if I did get hit, I should survive. I mean, I don't, and then a few arrows finishes the fight, but Ceaseless can be kind of annoying if your HP is low enough for him to one-shot you. Hi Andre, please upgrade my bow to +10. I guess I'll buy some more arrows with the rest of my souls, and yep, the snake people are just way too durable to fight. I really don't know why they made the snakes have comparatively so much HP. Also, most of them have shields, which is my biggest weakness. So it's gonna be a run past enemies situation. Good thing the traps that can hurt me are just as dangerous to the snakes. And I have a lot of practice getting through Sen's Fortress. More than I'd like. Okay, next boss time, Iron Golem. The lock-on is not going to be my friend in this fight because I really need to target the ankles, so it's time for some fun first-person aiming. A thing I am definitely good at. Good thing this boss is pretty slow because this is going to take a while. Really? Bow only is the run where I actually managed to get the boss to fall to its death. Amazing. Okay, well that means we're in Anor Londo. And I am not excited. Getting through Anor Londo could be kind of a pain, and that is mitigated somewhat by having a ranged attack to deal with these masked friends in these rafters, and the lightning spear demons, and even the Black Knight archers. But the next boss has me worried. Gonna go ahead and kindle this bonfire, and while I would normally head straight for the boss, I am gonna swing by the blacksmith here to buy some more arrows. I expect I will need them. Alright, Orny, Smoo, what have you got for me? Okay, definitely better than I expected. They are better at dealing with ranged attacks than prior bosses, but not that much better. Orny can shoot lightning and has a very janky dash, but I can stick just close enough to trigger more melee attacks, and Smoo doesn't really have anything. His charge attack is way less dangerous, so that means Orny gets to die first. And now that Super Smoo is on the field, the fight is way easier. Smoo has no actual ranged attacks and loves to just slowly walk towards me. This gives me plenty of time to slowly back away and shoot arrows. And I need that time, honestly, because my damage is so low. And then Smoo gets stuck on a pillar, and I can just shoot him in first-person mode. It doesn't last forever, but I get a lot of free damage out of it. And that is Orny and Smoo. And it was more difficult than prior bosses, but not that much more difficult. And definitely not as difficult as I'd expected. Okay, now I have the Lord Vessel, and that frees the way to the next set of bosses. And first on my list is going to be Seath, which means running past these stupid pigs who are fully coated in metal, so they take basically no damage from my attacks. I'm just gonna quit out so I can actually use the bonfire. Oh, that didn't work. Guess I need to kill at least this one. Good thing I deal so much damage. Excuse me for a moment, please. There we go, now I have the bonfire. Okay, so the enemies here are very durable, at least compared to bow damage, so you know what that means. Running through the area. Thankfully, I've actually finally learned the route through this place. Also, the fight against this NPC is very funny because he's actually heavy rolling, and the iframes on the roll are so bad I can shoot him mid-roll. Hi, Seath. We'll speak a bit later. Oh, crap. I always forget about this guy. And yeah, I do have to do a quick punch because the gap between the bars may look like a lot, but this is actually just a wall pretending it's not. And then it's a sprint through the Duke's Archives, an area I mostly know how to navigate, and the Crystal Caves. You know what? I think I'm just gonna kill these clams. I really don't want any of them to sneak into the Seath fight when I'm already trying to get attacks in around Seath's nonsense. Close enough. Okay, good. No clams, which also means this fight is going to be very simple. Seath really only has 2 attacks, a close-range Crystal Breath and a long-range Crystal Breath. Both are aggressively telegraphed and easy to dodge, particularly when I can deal damage at any range. Again, this fight isn't particularly quick, but it is pretty easy. One Lord Soul down, time to deal with Izalith. First problem is, I'm human, which means I get invaded. I normally wouldn't care, but I do want this bonfire in case of boss nonsense. Good thing Kirk is really bad at PvP. Anyway, another boss time, and it's Fire Sage. This boss presents an interesting challenge because while this arena is pretty big, Fire Sage can actually attack a pretty large area and cover distance fairly quickly. The hitboxes on its attacks also really need to be learned rather than intuited because they are not great. But ultimately, bow damage is just too versatile at range for the Fire Sage to keep up with. Love when a boss behaves. I should really buff my Estus Flask. That means it's time for a few spare Firekeepers to die. Then back to Firelink to get my flask all buffed up. Hooray, healing! Anyway, Fire Sage dead means I can run the extra 20 feet to the next boss, the Centipede Demon. And while I can shoot Centipede Demons at range, that just means it will continually use this really annoying lunge attack. So it actually works a little better to just hug into melee range and shoot arrows at point blank. Mostly because Centipede Demon's attacks are very easy to dodge. Alright, it's time for the Bed of Chaos, the worst fight in the game. And having a bow doesn't actually do anything for or against me, it's still basically the same fight. I'm just always kind of baffled with this fight, no idea how this game shipped like this. Good news is, I actually get it on the first attempt. It was pretty close though, I had to use all of my Estus and 2 Humanities. Stupid boss. But I do still need to run through Izalith a bit. I need to get the Sunlight Maggot after all. Now it's time to run a few errands. First is to kill Havel. I want his ring to boost equip load so I can wear some bulkier armor. Then kill the Hydra, for some reason. I don't know why I'm here. Oh well, time to head back to New Londo to lower the water level, and finally, it's time to fight Sif. I would have fought them earlier, but I honestly forgot. At this late stage of the game, I'm not expecting this to be super difficult, and it's not. Don't get me wrong, actually hitting Sif can be a bit of a pain. They jump around a bunch and my character sure does love to just shoot arrows off in random directions. But I have enough HP and defense to take very little damage from the attacks, and my bow is more than strong enough to take out all of Sif's HP. Okay, getting close to the end game now. And next on my list of items to acquire is a lightning short bow. The 4 kings are weak to lightning, so this may deal more damage than my regular composite bow. Honestly, I'm not super optimistic, but it's worth testing. The 4 kings are a DPS check, and I'm not feeling super confident about that. Not that I need to do that yet, because next up it's time to hop into the Undead Crypt, an area I mostly skip on playthroughs thanks to some strategic drops. And next boss, Pinwheel, who manages to survive more than 2 seconds. And if that isn't a show of how low my limited DPS is at this point, I don't know what is. run through the dark, dodging skeletons as I go, and it's already next boss time. Nito. I upgrade a different short bow to be a divine short bow. At some point. When did I do this? Anyway, this can let me permanently kill the skeletons in this fight. Slight problem is that the damage on said bow is awful. It's so bad. And I get stuck against a wall and die. So that's a good start. Okay, let's give this another try. So good news is my composite bow doesn't one-shot the skeletons. That means I can take out most of their health with my regular bow, then get off a few more shots with my divine bow. And then it's all about sticking to one half of the arena to not aggro more skeletons, and I finally learned how to dodge this stupid sword attack. Bow is close to breaking. It'll be fine. I'll just prepare it after the fight. Okay, that is 3 Lord Souls down, so all that I have left is the 4 Kings. And my damage is definitely not high enough by itself to outdamage them. But I should explore the area down here on the way, mostly because these knights can drop chunks to upgrade my bow, which has not been maxed out yet. A smarter, or more patient me, would have grinded out all the chunks I needed. But I am impatient, so let's just see how the fight goes. I think I can see yellow on those attacks, but it's really close to not being yellow. Yeah, that's not gonna work. No worries though, I have a few options to pursue first. And first item on the list is to head through the fireplace in Anor Londo to get Havel's armor. Big armor means big damage reduction, and then it's time to dive back into New Londo to kill some Dark Wraiths, each of which has a chance to drop valuable Titanite chunks. Killing Dark Wraiths with a bow is not an ideal method. They have shields, and bows really don't have a great way to deal with shields. Honestly, the best option is to just wait until they attack and trade some damage. Again, not ideal, but alternatives are even more tedious. Oh, right, I also need to pick up the extra large ember down here so I can actually upgrade my bow. Wow, these Dark Wraiths are being real stingy with their drop rates. You know what? I'm just gonna upgrade my bow as much as I can, which turns out to be a plus 12, and give the 4 Kings another go. Okay, so the damage I'm taking is pretty low as long as I stick close. Ouch. And the damage I deal is bad, but I can just spam attacks. Havel's armor is really good at tanking hits. You know, I'm actually surprised I'm managing to mostly keep up with the 4 Kings spawn rates. Really, the only attacks that are dangerous are the grab attack and the explosion. And the Kings decide to basically not use either attack very much, which is really all the leverage I need. With how low my damage is, I really expected that fight to be a bit of a wall. My bow isn't even maxed out. Weird. Which means I only have one boss left to kill to see credits, Gwyn himself. And that can be kind of a difficult fight in these challenge runs. In a normal playthrough, you can just parry him a few times and he'll be dead, but I can't parry him. Even if I could, I can't get a critical hit with a bow, funny though that would be. And Gwyn is pretty aggressive, often jumping around the arena to close distance. I did bring fire arrows in case those deal more damage than heavy arrows, but nope, boring option is better. And while a smarter me would have probably equipped light armor, I'm tired, and I want to have really high damage resistance. My first attempt actually makes it pretty far. Despite heavy rolls, the poise and damage reduction of Havel's armor are just really good. But Gwyn gets in a pretty good combo and finishes me off before I have a chance to heal. No matter though, that was a first attempt and I still had plenty of flasks left. Diving back in, and yeah, Gwyn dodging ranged attacks is also not super ideal. Good thing he is bad at dodging ranged arrows at close range, and the fight isn't pretty, or graceful, or particularly well executed. But a quick humanity to heal when my flasks run out is just enough to finish off Gwyn with like 40 arrows. And that is Dark Souls 1, completed using only a bow. And that run was kind of surprising. At no point was my damage actually good in any way, but the bosses really didn't have any way to deal with being shot from a distance. And while bows are slow, they're still a bit faster than alternative ranged attacks like sorceries or miracles. But I will have more to say about that in the summary video, out in a few weeks. I did want to shout out that I do have a Patreon, linked in the description. I spend a lot of time making these videos, so if you enjoyed the video, want to support the channel, and are financially stable enough to do so, that exists. No pressure though, this channel is free to enjoy for everyone and will remain that way. For now, if you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you'd like to see more of this, feel free to subscribe. Hey, maybe leave a comment if you have something you'd like to say. But whatever you decide to do, have a safe trip home.